growth comes from being outside your comfort zone.
There's a baseline level of skills that are required to make a start in any business.
I think as young men, we're told a lot of what we can and can't be. I think there's been loads of positive things that have come out recently about what young men can and can't be, but I think as we transition into this new generation of man and the way we find ourselves placed in this world, I personally believe that emotions will have a big part to play. Welcome back to our podcast. Every time we're here, we're having deep, thought-provoking conversations. We're inviting you to do the same. We're drawing on our personal experience. We're chatting about things that we hope might give you some insight and inspire you to new levels in your life. But today, we're talking about growth and how that plays a role in our life. So, introduce yourself, Will. Who are you? What you do?
My name's Will. I'm a musician, YouTuber, ex-accountant, ex-estate agent, ex-flips coach, ex-tennis coach.
A lot of X's. I like it. Yeah. I'm here for it.
I moved around a little bit. That's what I do. Just full-time content creator now, pretty much. Talk to me about you. Who are you? What are you?
Oh, well, my name's Connor. I am, ex-traveler, I think is probably the best way to put it.
Probably is.
Bumming about, living the life, doing season work, surfing, snowboarding, just vibing. And I feel like I've got a lot of life experience, but a whole lot more life to live. So we're talking about growth, man. And ultimately, we got to start with defining it. What is growth? What does it mean to you? So tell me, how do you interpret growth? What do you think growth is for you?
My immediate thoughts is growth in terms of progression in my life. So how are my relationships growing and how are they forming?
Mm-hmm.
How is my business growing and is that going in the correct direction? Are there certain sacrifices I have to make in my personal growth to then grow my business? And then are there any sort of sacrifices I need to make socially to allow growth in both my personal life and my business? It's sort of all congealed into one big cluster.
So you feel that growth is quite all encompassing. It takes in a lot of different avenues. There's a lot that goes into it. And maybe a lot that we're not aware of as well. Maybe there's different elements that are happening in the background that we're maybe not aware of. I think what I pulled out there from you is multi-layered. You mentioned your business. You mentioned how you want to improve on relationships, both professionally and maybe personally as well. So how can we choose to grow? This is something I've thought about when we were planning this episode, is how does one pick to grow? Is that a conscious choice? Is that something we pick to do? Is that just something that happens by a byproduct? What do you think?
I think we should tackle each one separately. Okay. So I think first of all, we'll break down personal. How do you decide to grow in your personal life? It's a big topic.
Nugget.
It's a big one. So the first one I jump to is relationships, finding yourself a group of friends. That's probably the first bit of personal growth any individual naturally takes, is find people that share similar interests to you or you find interesting. That would be the first element of making the conscious decision to grow, while maybe not thinking that's what you're doing, because it's just a very natural human urge to find people like you.
Do you think it's important to have shared interests? You're saying find people like you. Do you think that's important?
I think when you're searching out people, an easy way to find common ground with somebody is to do something that you find interesting, and other people that are like you will be there.
Yep.
Do I think that your friends all must have exactly the same interests as you? No, I don't.
Okay.
An example of somebody that I'm close with that doesn't have any shared interests is my girlfriend.
Nice. Okay.
We don't have a lot of overlap in terms of what we're really passionate about. Obviously, other than each other.
Thankfully.
That's probably the key bit in a relationship.
Good bit of crossover.
Yeah. The one thing that my girlfriend's really passionate about is childcare and looking after kids with disabilities, and that is really noble. It's not something I could ever do, I don't know how she deals with a lot of the things that these kids throw at her, literally sometimes.
Yeah.
And obviously my passions are very much YouTube focused and business focused,
Mm.
whereas for Sophie, it's straight over her head. But do we still find ways to support each other despite not having the common interest, going back to what we were talking about?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can be supportive of somebody without necessarily being interested in that, because you can fundamentally just want them to succeed. It works exactly the same, I believe, with friendship groups.
Mhm.
So, for example, me and you've got lots of hobbies that aren't all my hobbies, and I've got lots of hobbies that aren't all your hobbies. But do we have common ground? Do we have things we can talk about? Do we find each other's hobbies interesting and a place to learn from? Absolutely.
Okay.
Your traveling experience, I've barely been traveling in comparison to you,
Mm.
but I love hearing about your traveling stories. And obviously I'm just incredibly interesting, so you'd be interested in everything that I talk about anyway. I'm joking, but hey ho, I'm interesting. In my opinion,
I think so. We're here for it.
Yeah. So that's sort of the personal. How would you describe? Just attack the personal for now. Personal growth. How can you decide to grow in your personal life?
I think you're right in suggesting that growth is somewhat of a choice, but I also think there's very much an element of growth happening unintentionally as well. But I think growth comes from being outside your comfort zone. So for me, like you said, I've traveled. I've been to countries where I don't speak the language, where the cultures are completely different. I'm totally out of my comfort zone. I can tell you some stories of when I first traveled and I absolutely lost my mind, didn't know what to do, and I wanted to come home day one. But I think it's putting yourself in those situations. It's acknowledging the uncomfortable that consciously or unconsciously makes you grow, because you either accept the challenge, you rise to it, and you become bigger and stronger and more profound, and you learn something new, or you don't, and you accept that maybe it's not quite for you. And I think in that regard, there is still growth there to be had. And I think we often lose sight of the growth that is there as well, because it's not as obvious. I think you could take it on the chin and understand what's good for you and what's not, but I also think there's elements there where people might just get defeated and beat themselves up and understand that maybe it wasn't for them and traveling's not for them, or that job's not for them, and they just get down on themselves. So personal growth, I think, is very much a conscious choice. I think you have to choose to want to grow.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes, I would. I would say choosing to grow personally is different to choosing to grow your social circle as well. What would be your thoughts on that? Choosing to grow your social, as in expanding your group of friends to further afield, versus choosing to grow more in your own life and in self-acceptance, I suppose, would come into that.
Absolutely. I think that's very interesting discussion. Reason being, I think when you're growing as a person, you're going to meet new and interesting people, which, if you're getting out there and you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, you're going to meet new people in different scenarios and different walks of life, which is going to expand your mind more so, which ultimately means you're going to meet different people that are also on their own growing journey. And I think it's very important to choose your circle that you put around you when it comes to personal development.
Yeah.
Because I think, isn't it, you're a culmination of the 7 people you spend the most amount of time with.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to personal development and growth in a personal capacity, then you have to choose your tribe very carefully.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
That's actually something that I did.
Tell me.
So when I was 16, my main interest was personal finance and investing and saving.
As every 16-year-old has.
Right. So this is the problem. Trying to find people that you fit in with at age 16 that are of a similar age that have the same mindset towards saving and investing is very difficult. So what did I do? I went to do a hobby that I liked, which was flips in the gym. Ended up bumping into these people that are all like 5 years plus older than me and have now become my closest friends. But because I went for a friendship group that was older, it wasn't an intentional seek out, but it made a lot of sense to me. And I sort of acknowledged it in the moment as well, as like, these people are at the stage of life where I want to be.
Yeah.
So they're going to automatically drag me up. That was the way that I was thinking of it. And yeah, I mean, it's worked.
Hey, well,
pick your friends wisely. That's what I did.
Absolutely, and it goes both ways as well. If they're investing into you and helping you grow, then in many ways the favor is going to be returned. You know, it's definitely going to pay dividends in that regard. I think that's a really insightful view. But I'm curious, what's your thoughts on growth versus change? Because I feel like they get meshed together. So, does change automatically mean growth? Does growth have to mean that something's got to change? What's their relationship for you?
So I think first we must define growth, and that would mean movement in a direction that's closer to what you wish you were.
Okay.
That's probably how I would define growth in a personal setting. Is movement towards you being something that you want to be. I would say change can be anything that is different to your current status quo. So to grow, you must change, but to change doesn't mean you've grown.
I hear you. I understand. So you're almost saying growth is outcome based.
Yes, because I think looking at it from an external point of view, nobody would ever think that you've grown if nothing has changed. And even introspectively, if you think that you've grown, you can see a noticeable point A to point B. I think growth is a measurement from point A to point B. Yeah. It's like when we talk about height even, it's like, well, you didn't grow, but if you...
Wow, okay. A little drive-by.
Yeah. It's all right. I stopped that far away from 6 foot. So annoying. You stopped that far away from 5 foot. Growth point A to point B. It's like it's a measurement of distance. It's a measurement of size. And yeah, so I think you know when you've grown. I think sometimes it can be hidden. So a negative experience can mean that you've grown, even though it didn't feel like a good thing at the time. Yep. For example, me getting fired as an accountant. Yep. My life, that at the time, it feels like a regression because it is. But it's also acknowledging the fact that sometimes you've got to take one step back to take 2 steps forwards. And that is how life works. Life isn't linear.
So in terms of, we're talking about growth, we're going to talk about personal development here and personal growth. We've spoken about very much in regards to maybe outward personal development, how you externally seek personal development. But I'm curious, what role does self-awareness play in growth? And by that, I mean, what tools do we have at our disposal to become aware of who we are, where we're moving, and how to get from point A to point B, as you have said? That's what I'm curious of. So where does self-awareness play into this?
The first thing I would say is my one pro that I've always had is perspective on where I seem to fit in around my environment and in the world in terms of like where I want to be and what I need to do. So as with everything, I always look at it from an objective perspective because I don't like emotions generally. If you make emotional decisions, you fail.
Interesting.
In a lot of ways.
Why do you feel like emotions are...
This is a complete segue.
Yeah.
But if you're down for the ride.
Tell me.
I'm feeling hungry, therefore I'm going to go to McDonald's and eat and spend £7.50 on dinner.
Okay.
I'm feeling hungry. I reckon if I just ate 3 slices of bread out of the bread bin, I wouldn't feel hungry anymore, and I've saved £7.50. At the end of both of those, I'm no longer hungry. One of them I'm more satisfied and emotionally happy, but the other one I've saved £7.50. This is my teenage years and basically up until now.
Do you think emotional, your feelings, your emotions are important though? No,
because I know that the emotion I feel having money stacked in the bank, I'm far happier with money stacked than I am not, because it allows me to take more risks in my life.
But our emotions guide us through life. They are our understanding of what we like, what we don't like, what we need to avoid, where we want to head towards, whether that person likes us or not. How do we stay safe? Emotions guide us. We are all emotional beings, and we're very much guided by our emotions. Like when you think of animals. They're very much running on instinct and emotion. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I tried and switched that off.
Wow. Is it a conscious choice to switch off the emotion?
I fight. But I think I was talking to you the other day. I really struggled to cry.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of such brutal training through my late teenage years of like, crying doesn't help. Crying doesn't make things better, as I said in the last podcast.
Okay.
We live in reality.
Mm.
My perception of reality is irrelevant in my eyes.
Sure.
So if I can get to the same result with saving money, but it's the emotions that take the hit, I don't care, because the functional reality of my life is in a better position than it was.
Did you feel like you might get to this end goal, whatever that might be, and then you find your emotional capacity is in tatters? Emotionally, you're just stunned.
At least I've got the money to take the time off.
You can pay for the therapy.
It's a lot easier to recover on a beach in Bali than it is to recover.
I very much disagree. For me, emotions are what guide us. I think crying is extremely beneficial. I think very much cleansing. It's definitely something I've struggled with, like my whole adolescence into my adult life, of understanding emotions, and not only just I understand that I'm sad mentally. I know I'm sad, but feeling that sadness and processing that sadness, sitting with that sadness, I think is life changing.
Mm.
It's weird that we have such parallel views.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about self-awareness, you're not thinking about any tools that equip you mentally. You're thinking about tools that outwardly equip you to excel.
Yeah. I very quickly realized in late teenage life that if you go about life emotionally, you're far more erratic,
Yeah.
and sporadic with your decision making, and that doesn't make for any sort of logical route.
Do you not think there's a healthy balance that needs to go in there, though? Because
Yeah.
without emotions, then there's a lack of empathy, and you can't care for each other. And naturally, I very much believe that we are communal beings. I think I said this before. I very much believe that we've lost that in this modern world, in the sense that we are very much all trying to think of the next thing for us, rather than thinking, how can I be a better human for my community? And I think emotions allow us to do that. You know, crying is a cry for help, literally. Like, that is what it is. You are telling the tribe, I need help. I am not okay. I need support. You know, I think there's communities around the world where, if, say, someone becomes a mother, the baby becomes adopted by the tribe, the community. It's not just that person's baby, and they've got to isolate and look after it, and then they can come out when it's back and fine. You know, I think emotions keep us grounded in reality. That is my honest opinion of emotion. So when it comes, for me, for self-awareness and personal growth, tools that have been so useful for me is therapy, is journaling, is meditation. Those have been invaluable. And I think it's so interesting the parallels we have here. But to expand on a point you may be making earlier, we were talking about growth.
Yeah.
You mentioned it's not linear. What do you mean by that?
No. So, that's what I was saying with the stock market graph. It's
Yeah.
Like, as soon as things are looking good, everyone wants to jump on the back of it, and then when things are looking bad, everyone bails. It's like you can see the graphs, you know. That's humans in a nutshell. That is a perfect display of fear and drive and optimism. It's literally, that's what it's a graph of. It's optimism versus fear.
Yeah.
And I think going back to your question of self-awareness, is like you can be very self-aware and still be driven by optimism and fear.
Okay.
There's a great quote to do with when, I can't remember who said it, and I'll definitely butcher it, but this is the essence of it, which is, when you think things are going really well, they're not going as well as you think. When things are going really badly, they're not going as bad as you think. There's a status quo somewhere in the middle that is like, this is actual reality. And when you feel like you are the big dog and things are going super well, it's never going that well. Hence why I really struggle to get excited for things, because I'm very aware of it.
Okay.
When things are going really badly, I still let myself spiral. And it all goes terribly. But that's because that's what drives me.
So you can feel the negative emotion, but you can't outwardly express the positive.
Yeah, or I don't really outwardly express the negative. It generally just turns immediately into stress.
Okay.
And then the stress is the driving thing to make me get back to mediocrity.
And stress, the remedy for you is action. It's forward motion.
It's always action, always forward motion.
Okay.
We could talk about any topic you like. My answers are always going to be
Forward
motion. Keep going. Like, what is the thing at the end? Like, people always talk about, oh, I want to be happy. Well, you're instantly putting a gap between you and happiness by saying you want to be happy. No, you are happy now. What if that was reality? Like, okay, what's stopping me being happy now? Oh, it's just my gratitude, maybe. Or it could be, I've had some very negative news in my life. Okay, is there anything you can do to change that? Or is your life actually still okay?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have just got to be like, okay, my grandfather died. I can let this ruin the next 6 weeks of my life. Or I can go to the funeral, mourn, have the time for that. But then it's back to work because, number one, that's what he would have wanted. Okay. And number two, it's like, I've got to crack on with my life.
Interesting. But you're suggesting there that gratitude plays a role as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. So would you not say that that is very much a tool at one's disposal for self-development? It's practicing gratitude.
That's absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I like that. And last one in terms of personal growth is does one have to grow in a vacuum? Are they insular? Are you doing your best growth when you're by yourself, or can you grow with others?
I don't think it's an or, I think it's an and.
Okay.
I think you grow when you're on your own, and I think you grow when you're with others. For example, having these conversations with you, it's pushing and pulling my brain in a different way to if I was to just sit and think about, okay, let's think about growth.
Yeah.
If I was just to sit and think with that, I would probably draw different answers, but it's all coming from within. But that can still help you connect different ideas. But so can talking to somebody, getting their opinions, finding, okay, so instantly I'm thinking, well, maybe I should be more emotional in my life. Maybe that will give me an advantage in some way. I can't think of what that would be because it's dumb. But breaking the very strong chains I've deliberately put around my wrists to say, you're not allowed to be emotional when you're thinking about business. And the problem is I always think about business.
Yeah.
Switching that off is impossible.
So challenges. It's about facing those challenges and allowing yourself to grow through them and understand the challenges, but be grateful for that next step, that next level. You know, I think I heard something the other day that was, we need to maybe treat life like a video game, in the sense that if you've got that imposter syndrome or you feel like this is a challenge, you've reached that next level.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're doing well. If you're feeling a bit comfortable, maybe there's another level or a door and a ladder you've got.
Yeah.
It's Donkey Kong throwing a fucking barrel at you. Awful analogy, but here we are. Cool.
Elon Musk has a thing, running a business is like staring into the abyss chewing glass.
Oh, damn.
The abyss being the unknown of all the decisions that you've got to make on a day-to-day basis and on a grand scale. And the chewing the glass being the challenge that you are currently working on. And you realise as soon as you finish chewing one piece of glass, you just get to level up in what glass you actually get to chew. It sort of relates that back to that.
So the challenges are always there.
Challenges are always there.
But it's the attitude one chooses to face a challenge presents how they're going to grow in that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And I think self-awareness throughout all of it is the underpinning rock that holds everything together.
Yeah.
It's like, if you were extremely self-aware, you can talk yourself in and out of any situation because you're aware of what's happening. If you're purely driven by, like, if we take it to the extremes, because it's easier to make concrete decisions and then we can sort of meet somewhere in the middle. So if we go, all of your decisions purely emotionally focused, you're probably going to have super highs and super lows because everything is either going to be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world, right? And that's one way to live your life. And some people do that, and some people end up dead. Some people end up very happy.
Yeah.
On the other side, you've got purely objective-based driven decisions, which will lead you in a more predetermined direction. However, you are giving up all your emotions and happiness in the meantime. What's in the middle of that?
Life.
Have a sense of, life is in the middle. But I would say you have a sense of direction, you have a goal, and along the way you allow yourself to celebrate the small wins, all the way. So you have a constant stream of dopamine and happiness throughout the whole thing. You have sadness. Obviously, there's certain things in your life that you can't avoid, like family loss, like breakups, like getting fired, like getting made redundant. There's so many different. A stock market crash makes you more stressed about paying your rent that month. You earn less one month because your commissions aren't as high. All sorts of things can happen. But your wavelength of happiness versus sadness, if the highs are happiness and the lows are sadness, will be shallower curves than if you were fully emotion where it's all up or all down, all up or all down, super volatile chart. Whereas this one is like a very linear straight line.
Yeah.
And technically your happiness does increase with the closer you get to your goal, because that is the objective. However, it's so gradual you don't feel it.
And you're not celebrating the win.
No, but you are super feeling the losses because it's a step backwards. So the wins are exactly where you'd expect them to be because you're on this linear graph on this is where I want to go, that's where I'm heading, let's go there. Anything that's a step back from that is I can see that I'm moving further away from my goal.
Yeah.
When you're emotional, it's like the highs are so great and the lows are so low. You're just all over the place. It's a night.
So I feel like we know the answer to this. That spectrum, where you sitting?
Very close to the objective based.
Yeah.
And this is why I really struggle to celebrate wins and mourn losses, because I've just emotionally I've just basically shut myself off. And I think it's a fear of feeling weak at the very fundamental of it. Talk about self-awareness. It's like I think I've actually cracked it to the point where I'm so self-aware that I can go from I'm feeling sad to oh, that doesn't help, let's crack on. That's how quickly I can get over stuff, because I know that I feel sad. Okay, that's fine. I can sit here and I can feel sad, or I could do something that will make me feel better and then instantly I'll be better. And that's different, I think, to just leading life through distraction, because you can if you've got one concrete problem that you go to sleep every night and it's destroying you, and you're throughout your waking hours just constantly distracting yourself, you're obviously not ever dealing with the core problem.
You're making a conscious choice.
Yeah, that's ignoring it rather than dealing with it. Whereas I feel like if you're so self-aware and constantly in contact with yourself, you can deal with everything on such a small level that the big problems never rise.
I hear you.
It's probably quite a counter to popular opinion. That one.
It's hard for me to grasp because I definitely sit on the more emotional scale. But ironically, I think we've had very similar responses in the sense of stunting emotions, because emotions can be seen as bad. And I think especially as young men, we're told that emotions are bad. You know, you can't feel sad. You need to be strong. You can't be angry because you can't make yourself intimidating. You can't be someone of a position of power. I think as young men, we're told a lot of what we can and can't be. I think there's been loads of positive things that have come out recently about what young men can and can't be. But I think as we transition into this new generation of man and the way we find ourselves placed in this world, I personally believe that emotions will have a big part to play, because I think it allows us to really connect with the outside world. That is my personal opinion. However, in terms of growth, as someone that is business orientated, tell me, what's more important, skill stacking or like being a skill stacking as like a what's the term?
Generalist.
Master generalist.
Yeah.
Or niching down, specialist.
That's a really nuanced question.
Oh, I know.
With extremely nuanced answers.
Tell me.
So
let's get all up in the nuance.
Here we go. Buckle up. Strap on. In. Yeah, just like that.
I don't want to clip in anymore.
So you've got where you are now, where you want to be.
Yep.
You've got to start all things like that, because if you are starting a business, you are here, and I'm guessing you want to make more than zero, which means you must have an end destination, right? That's how business works. Welcome to life. Then you have you need to have a deliverable. So is it going to be a product or a service? For example, this podcast is a service. We're, providing entertainment, but also deep thought and introspective.
You're welcome, everyone listening.
Yeah, it's a public service, really. To get from point A to point B, you need a certain set of skills. So this podcast isn't just sitting down with a mate having a chat.
No.
There's planning that goes into it, which is what you're very good at. There is audio engineering and recording sound that goes into it. There
Which
is
you're very good at.
vocal mixing that goes into it. Obviously, I'm going to know all the things that go on my side, and you're going to know all the things that go on yours. But
Yeah.
there's personality, on-screen persona.
I have none of that.
It's
I have a deficit of persona.
I don't know. You're pretty good. Then there's video editing. All of these skills. So skill stacking. There's a baseline level of skills that are required to make a start in any business. That was just the ones of this one. Having a singular focus, I've only ever put down to the end goal. For example, if I want to be a franchise owner of 3 subways, I want to run a taxi service, and I want to run a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the organizational skills for all of those businesses will be the same.
Yeah.
So you could easily say, okay, well, I've learned all these organizational skills and I want to own these 3 businesses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all 3 businesses using my organizational skills.
Mm-hmm.
That would be all 3 businesses doomed to fail. If you think of it like a big block of skills that you have at the bottom, which a lot of people, you might not have initially. So then running your business starts by just learning. The amount of days I have that are work days that I spend 12 hours just learning.
Yeah.
Because that is the next thing to grow my business. That's higher ROI than just doing one activity that might make me a $5.
For those that don't know, ROI is
return on investment.
Cool.
Glad I remembered that.
Yeah, I should hope so.
And you've also got other ones that I might use, which is the LTV, lifetime value of a client.
Yep.
CTR, click-through rate.
As
and when they come
to them. But you're saying that it's important to understand that there is a baseline knowledge needed and a baseline learning needed. So professionally, you need to make yourself adaptable.
Yeah.
And I think being adaptable is a very useful skill.
I would say that's the number one predictor of success.
Adaptability.
How adaptable you are. If you can be given new circumstances and you can excel in them, and they're given new circumstances and you excel in them, you will automatically succeed than the people that still think legacy media and TV are going to do the next big thing. It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Companies that are 5 years behind thinking that YouTube is the best place to spend their money, or TikTok is the best place to spend their money, when really it might be some other Chinese app or tool, or what would be another one? Where are people really far behind in life? The main, or people that still think radio is the one. I'm going to get really big on radio. Okay. Good luck. But it seems ridiculous because you can look back at it now with our perspective, going, oh yeah, YouTube's the one that's popping. There's more advertising money spent on TikTok. There's an argument to say we should be running this podcast on TikTok. Except for I don't like the way that they pay. They take 75% of everything you make.
Yeah. Which
is brutal.
So far there's 75% of zero, so
yeah, we've made nothing so far. In fact, we're negative right now.
We are. We're negative. Yeah.
But always being able to adapt to the new thing
is,
I would say, that's a massive sign of personal and business growth.
Adaptability.
Because the skills that you need to adapt aren't all the same skills, but you transition and learn and are able to move with the times. Honestly, you'll succeed.
And adaptability is very much a choice in some regard as well, because you learn to be adaptable through learned experience, through life skills, and through active learning. Going out and I don't understand this. Let me understand this. Let me get the tools I need. Let me read this book. Let me listen to this podcast. Let me research. Let me go on ChatGPT, for goodness sake. Like, there's skills available to you. So I think adaptability is somewhat of a choice, but I also think it pulls back into, like you said, the personal mindset of having an open mind and inviting the idea of change, inviting the idea of you could be wrong as well, which I think is very important. And I think we get really caught up in business development of defining ourselves by wins and losses, because I think the business world can very much be how are you succeeding against your peers. And I think that can cause a lot of issues for a lot of young people because it's very much based on how they're outwardly performing. Tell me.
Also, how you define wins and losses is important.
Okay.
I don't have any losses,
Only lessons?
only lessons.
Yep.
If I start a business and lose money on my first 100 customers, I'm still in a better position than the person who didn't start
Mm-hmm.
because I am now 100 lessons in. I now know 100 ways not to do the thing that person has still got to go through.
Yeah.
If you win, but you don't learn as much as you learnt from those losses because that's things you can strike off and instantly teach your team members not to do.
So it's very much you want to fail and you want to fail fast.
That's it. Get as many fails under your belt as possible. That's why we need to crank out these podcasts.
We suck.
We need to get to our 1,000th podcast as quickly as possible because we might know a thing or two by then.
We don't know anything now, so if we get 1% better by 1,000 podcasts, that's a win.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So you're saying fail and fail fast. And also choose what you want to suck at, I think. You know, like it's very much a case of we're saying about skill stacking or just being a specialist in one regard, but I think it's choosing what you want to suck at. You know, I think we're fearful of failure. We're fearful of looking like we care. Oh my God, like the amount of times people want to try something, they don't because they're scared of how they're going to be perceived by their boss, by their peers, by their parents, by their partners. I think we just need to get over that fear of being seen and just proceed to be bad at something.
Yeah, for sure.
I think growth comes from being bad.
Hit the nail on the head. Example in my life?
Tell me.
YouTube's #1 priority. I know I'm not going to be the biggest gym guy in the group.
Are you sure?
I'm okay to suck at the gym and beat everyone at the game of YouTube, whereas I'm quite happy to be beaten at the game of the gym because that's not my priority. If I, for some reason, decide to switch my focus and like for health reasons or something, gym will become my main focus. I will be the biggest person in the group. YouTube,
I would love to see
might
that.
not be it could easily happen. I've got that one track mind that I just, if I'm going for something, I'm going for it. There's nothing you can do to beat me.
I believe that about you.
In any regard of life. But that's how much self-drive I have.
I believe that.
And you've got to have a little bit of arrogance as well. It's a key part of it. But unless you believe in you when you're self-employed, nobody else is going to believe.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's incredible.
So as someone in a relationship, you?
That's me. I know. I can't believe it.
What a hero. How have you done it? That's not the question, but...
I ask myself that question every day.
Can partners grow together within the relationship? By grow together, I mean both as a couple. Can you grow as a couple and learn new things about each other, try new things together? Can you, as a human, still be on your self-development journey while your partner is still on their self-development journey?
It's a really difficult question because I think it so much depends on the individual. I can only really speak to myself and my relationship, in which I would say, I saw it broken down. I really should remember where these things come from. But you're two people, and it's important in life that you grow in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
You're still two individuals, but you're growing in parallel. It's when you spend too much time together, you feel like you need to get away from each other, and that's when you grow apart. When you're too distant, you feel like you should come together, but then you realize you've been apart for so long emotionally and in your lives that you clash and you start to repel and you go away again. So it's important that you're both on your own journey, have your own objectives, that each of you can provide support for, but you're moving in a direction that you both feel is accurate and honest to yourself with joint goals. For example, are you going to be married, have kids? Economically speaking, what are you going to do? You're going to own a house, you're going to rent forever. Are you going to travel? Are you not going to travel? It's important, the fundamentals. Dave Ramsey's got a thing on it as well. It's what do we do with our marriage? What do we do with our kids? What do we do with our money? Because money is the #1 thing that breaks people up.
Yeah, very true. But I think a fear people have is, if I grow, am I going to outgrow my partner? Is my partner going to outgrow me? You know, if they become good or successful, they're going to need me. These are thoughts that people probably have daily. So it's leaning into what's known, like, well, I could do that, but it
That's
might
the
put strain
faith.
in the relationship.
That's the faith in the relationship. January and February this year, I told you I made no money. At the same time, my girlfriend got a big raise. I was like, damn, like she's earning money and I'm not. Why is she still around? So in that moment, I felt inadequate, big time. So tried to make up for that by being extra emotionally supportive and, just showing more of an interest and sort of really feeling like I had to cover my back. Because she could easily decide to go and be with somebody that's even got a minimum wage job right now and he'd be doing better than me financially. Now I've been able to do well on YouTube for a bit and the balance has started to shift again. And I'm now, luckily, not earning for the last couple of months, which has been nice. Been back in the power position. I decide where we eat. And I'm not thinking for 1 second, oh, well, I'm going to leave Soph in my dust now because I'm going to go and move on to be Dan Bilzerian. It's like, no. I'm super excited about the prospect of being with somebody that has supported me through the absolute bottom. Like, you've got to remember when Soph and I met as well, she met me freshly dumped and freshly fired.
True.
She's seen me at proper rock bottom, and everything that I've built since then has been purely with her as the, sounds cringy, but the rock and like the support and the emotional stability for me. So the fact that I now actually get to succeed is like, none of this is on me. This is all on us together as a relationship. And like, just look at the stats. It's like, before I met you, I was nothing. Now I am. I'm getting there, and you were the reason. Could I have done it by myself? I genuinely don't think so.
Okay.
I think I would have been so self-obsessed. I would have made decisions that were different. I think my social life would have completely plummeted. I don't think we'd be sat here now. I think, I would be probably not even in Eastbourne. I would be elsewhere in the world and, probably 5 miles down the road. But hey, it's, I'd still be living with my parents for sure. Like, there's all these different things, but you've got to grow and acknowledge. It's the gratitude thing. Always, like, immense gratitude. And there's even been times, I don't know if you know this about me, but I did, it seems to come in and out of my life, but I'm occasionally have massive flurries of being religious, and I will think there is no way that it's me holding the reins right now. Like, I do feel like I'm being, like, my life is too good for me to have done this. Like, there must be a higher power at work, which completely goes against my objective-based rationale. Like, no, it's all me. I did this. I made the decision to do this and this and this, and I can see how that led to that and led to that. But sometimes life is just set up too perfectly for you to even rationalize that. And it's like, the fact that that gig came around and led to that one, and YouTube decided to take off in this way, and I've managed to get fired at just the right time of my life to do a lot of things line up perfectly. I met Soph at my very lowest point, and since then everything's grown. Like, that just seems all way too perfect.
Okay.
It seems too good. So sometimes I do find myself going, okay, what should I do? Just talking to what's out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's God. I don't know if it's any sort of higher. That I feel like there is a higher something that is really pulling the strings, and that also removes the sense of responsibility, which can reduce stress sometimes.
Okay, I hear you. So I think there's a big crossover between religion and spirituality, and I definitely think that's worth exploring in a different conversation. But I think the gratitude is really important. I think what you're touching on there is growth together as a couple and understanding the roles that one might play during that time. Because it sounds like there's times where you had to be maybe a little bit more supportive, a little more grateful, a little bit more present, and there's times where Soph had to maybe give you some space to really allow you to work on what you needed to work on. But it's understanding that I'm still here, I'm still there with you, we're still in this together. You're on your journey, I'm on mine, but we're on this journey together. The end goal is the same place.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. There's very much values.
Yeah, they've got to be aligned.
Values. And values are ultimately what we just deem to be important. I think sometimes
That's
we
it.
get really caught up in values are this, my values are this, I will die on my values. But it's values are what are important to you, you know, and if your values align and your self development goals align, you're saying that there's a lot of room for love there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like also you feel a a sense of accomplishment individually and within the relationship when you build it like that. When you build it as in you are super reliant on the other person, then every time they achieve something, you technically achieve it, but you're really piggybacking off the back of their win, and vice versa. So if you can have individual wins professionally and personally, and you can have joint wins, like, I don't know, being together 2 years, that's a joint win.
Yeah.
Like moving out together, that's a joint win.
Absolutely.
And so for getting promoted and my YouTube taking up that, so we individually have successes and together successes. And it's acknowledging those for what they are. And now's when I need the pat on the back, and then is when you need a pat on the back.
So I'm curious what you think of this. Oftentimes when someone else does something really well, like say Soph does something really well, we go, I'm really proud of you. I've always had an issue with that, and I'll tell you why. Pride implies ownership. So if I say I am proud of you, I feel like I might be wrong, people might disagree, but I feel like if I'm saying I'm proud of you, I've got some sort of ownership in what you've done. I might have absolutely none. I might be completely removed from it. So something that I used to practice with my last relationship, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if she did, but I thought it was really good. Was we're like, I celebrate. Rather than I'm proud of you. You know, I feel like in some way you saying I'm proud of you. It's like, well, yeah, cool, that's nice. But you're sharing my accomplishments. Like, no, I'm celebrating you. That is you. You have done that. I was nothing. I'm sure I'm proud of you because that's an expression we use. But I think celebrate is a really nice way to put it. I don't know how you feel on that, but I feel like pride implies ownership.
Why would pride connotate to ownership?
Pride for me, because pride is something I can embody. So I should be feeling pride of my achievement. You know, like, so for you to feel pride of my achievement, I feel, and this might be I understand I have a lot of weird views and when it comes to pride and self celebration. I'm not very good at celebrating oneself. I'm awful at that. I'm actually my biggest critic. It's very hard and it's crippling and I deal with it every day. But if I'm proud of something I've achieved, your pride is on my achievement. Does that make sense? That's the way I view it. It's like if you're proud of me, then well, that's my achievement. So you're proud. We're looking at a triangle. I'm here and this is pride, but you're like, oh, I've jumped on. Whereas like if I celebrate you, I'm irrelevant. Like I am simply looking at what you have built and what you've done, and I've gone, I celebrate you. I see the hard work you've put in. Well done.
I would say proud and happy for are interchangeable. For example, I can be happy with myself and my performance. I can also be happy with your performance and for you. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of you. I love it when Soph tells me that she's proud of me because it's like in my work, I have nobody telling me I'm doing a good job. Obviously views and likes, but if you let yourself feel your
wrapped up in that,
it's a horrible spiral. I love it when Soph tells me that she's proud of me, and it justifies a lot of the sort of walking through a dark room without a flashlight that you have to do in business and just decision making in general when you're deciding to be self-employed. Am I making the right? I don't know if I don't know the end goal. Like, and that's the other interesting thing. When you're self-employed, a lot of people look at you like you just know the answer. Like, it's easy for you to say you've got 171,000 subscribers. It's like, of course. Well, yes, but you do realize for the first 170,999 of those, I had one subscriber, you know? It was, you don't know where you're going ever. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but you've got to move through it as if you do. Yeah. So when somebody tells me that they're proud of me, it's like an extra level of support and saying, you're not in this alone. Like, what you've achieved is absolutely amazing, and I am so happy for you.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I understand what you're saying. I think I've just always struggled with the idea of self-belief and pride in one's achievement. Like I I think this is something I've said to you before. I'm not very good at celebrating my wins to the point where I've not really actually shared things I've done with people. Even my closest friends, sometimes they don't understand some of the things I've done or the issues or troubles I've had in my life. So I think I find celebrating wins really difficult. And it actually reminds me of a quote, something I've worked on a lot with my therapist. I know he found it from somewhere else, which is I can't remember it verbatim. I'm going to try, which is the ego can only receive praise. It cannot receive love. The ego can only receive praise. It cannot receive. And that's something I've been working on. Is trying to understand that my ego sometimes can get in my. I think ego is a big obstacle for growth, both if you've got too much of, and also if you've got too little. I think it's very much a balancing act. But for me, ego is a huge element because I struggle to celebrate, to be pride, to embody pride in wins. And I think that's something a lot of people might feel as well, is we're told to be proud of ourselves, but we're also told to downplay it, like you gotta be humble, you gotta be, a man doesn't boast, a man isn't boastful.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what you've got left in the tank. I find it easy to be proud of myself when I know I gave up everything.
Okay.
If I had a goal, like to get to 100k subs, did I give that everything? I reckon I gave it about 70% overall. So when people tell me you should be proud of yourself because you did a really good job and you achieved the outcome, yeah, but I would have got there a year earlier if I just worked a bit harder. Whereas if I know that I have left it all out there and there's nothing left on the table, I've used everything, I maximized everything, then I'll feel proud of myself because I gave all I could give.
But then you're putting guilt on a win.
Yeah, but it's not a win. It's an achievement, but it's not a win.
I think many people disagree. And I think people want to understand that they can celebrate their wins without diminishing. And again, I do the same. I'm very much the same boat as you. I'm like, oh yeah, I did this, but I achieved this, but there was a but that follows. And I think we would do really well to not be our own worst enemies. And I think that comes with a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of growth, a lot of fear. To just go, you know what? I did well today. I worked hard. And no but.
Yeah. And then I get to do this tomorrow, not I have to do this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It's
the power of words is incredible. I think it's Dr. Daniel Amen that preaches you should wake up every day and say today is going to be a great day. Because what it does is it trains your brain to look for things to back up that statement.
I would say today is a great day rather than is going to be. Because then if everything happens and it isn't good in your day, you're constantly waiting for it. No, but it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And then it just never gets there. And it's just been I always speak in present tense.
Yeah.
It's whenever I write out my goals, like I've got pieces of paper from years ago and I've got notes on my phone, last opened in 2021, 2022, 2023. Oh, you have, or I have 100,000 subscribers. I have 10 million pounds. I have 3 rental properties. I have a 16-unit building. I have a wife. I have 2 kids, John and whatever. It's always been
John.
It's always going to be the girl's choice for the girl, but yeah, no, just John. It's going to be called John. You can
so present tense.
Present tense. Always present tense. Whenever you're writing out goals, I know a lot of people do morning routines, which I think is rubbish. Like just crack work. I don't need to get I don't need to get in an ice bath to work. In fact, if I didn't get in the ice bath, I'd probably have an extra 15 minutes in my day to work. Guess who gets more work done at the end of the day? The person who didn't get in the cold water and freak out.
Yeah, but if I don't do my stare at the sun for 10 minutes and then my daily affirmations in the mirror and then my on and off like hot water, cold plunge, hot water, cold plunge, and then my 20-minute workout, my 20-minute breath work, and then my 20-minute Reiki, I'm not me, bro. Like, I can't be productive after that.
No, on a genuine quick little hate message out there for anyone who does morning routines is you're wasting so much time and building such a fragile framework around the conditions it takes for you to work. If you can't do one of those things in your morning routine, if that's going to ruin your day, anybody who can just wake up and work beats you. They've got to do less stuff. It's obvious.
I think it's very much, I think people can use it as escapism. I think growth can be seen as escapism. You know, like, isn't there self-development junkies? The people that have read all the books and listened to all the podcasts and can tell you all the quotes, but they don't practice.
Yeah.
But I also think it's very much about finding what's right for you. For me, I get up and I go for a walk every morning. First thing I do, I get out of bed, I get changed, I go for a walk. I don't even think about it. Unless I'm going to the gym or going for a run, I walk. Weather's bad, umbrella. Weather's good, umbrella. But I think for me, it's all about importance of setting up your day, whatever that looks like for you, so you can be your best self when you do turn up. And I know we differ on that, but for me, I think it's very much about choosing the brain that you're going to bring into your work.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, you are. I mean, in the last month, I suppose my morning routine has been get out of bed an hour earlier than I would normally. So this isn't adding anything extra to my day. Going to buy some pain au chocolats. And then working while eating my pain au chocolats.
So what you're saying is, if you want to be a YouTuber, famous YouTuber.
Morning pain au chocolats from Sainsbury's. Shout out Sainsbury's, I'm giving you that one for free. So at the end of these podcasts, now we're going to do a fun fact about each other just so you can get to know sort of the brains behind the microphones. So a fun fact about me is I play guitar.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Very creative person you are. For me, I've got a fun fact. It's a little bit different, but I am going to go with, I have a lip tattoo. I'm not going to tell you what it says.
Guess.
Guess what my lip tattoo says.
We'll tell you as soon as somebody gets it.
You're not going to get it.
On episode 735 when we actually have comments.
Right. So, Will, we've spoken a lot today. We've gone back and forth. We've actually disagreed, which has been great fun. I've really enjoyed it. You've been wrong, but we'll move past that. I'll let you off. Where in your life are you being invited? Where in your life are you being invited to grow?
As in being given permission by others or feel the natural pull to grow in a certain direction?
However you interpret the question, my friend. These are your closing thoughts. Quick, snappy.
My biggest area
that was Will's closing.
My biggest area I feel I need to grow is teamwork and working with others. I feel like I do a lot by myself. I've got basically to where I am by myself, obviously with the support of Soph, but in terms of active day-to-day business things, I do everything by myself. So I'm to the point now where I need to start building out my team. And I need to learn how to work with other people. And the best way to learn is by doing, as I always say. You've got to just do. You can read as many books as you like about teamwork. I promise you, hiring somebody that will teach you how to do it. So I've been experimenting with hiring people here and there, and to get different things done. And so that's just a skill I'm trying to develop and a direction I'm trying to grow.
Nice. For me, I am being invited to grow into the next stage of my life. I feel like, for those of you that don't know, I've just turned 30, like a few days ago. I lived a very enjoyable 20s. I have a lot of shared experiences with a lot of different people, and I'm so grateful for the memories I have. And I think now my life is changing. My life is evolving. And I can either grow with it and I can embrace it, or I can fight it and I can drag my heels. That is where I am being invited to grow, and it sucks every day. But next question for you, Will. What am I avoiding because it challenges my current identity?
What am I avoiding?
What are you avoiding because it challenges your current identity?
I mean, the ballet comes to mind. What am I avoiding? It challenges
what
my
are
current
you
identity.
avoiding because it challenges your current identity? Your current perception of self. What are you avoiding because it challenges that? For me, it's maturing. It's very much on the basis of what I've said. It's maturing. It's understanding that I have past traumas. I have past emotions. I have allowed those challenges, those issues to ruin and erode relationships throughout my life, and it's caused me so much pain. And I've spent a lot of my life avoiding it. Whereas now, I don't want to avoid it. I want to step into that discomfort. I want to step into that pain. The hard work is where you need to do the work. That's awful. What I meant to say is the magic you want is in the work you're refusing.
That's it.
That's the work.
That's it. I love that one. The magic you're looking for is in the work that you haven't done.
Yeah. So what are you avoiding because it challenges your current identity, Will?
Generally, I try not to avoid stuff anyway. I think that has been a massive journey in and of itself. Is as soon as I gave myself permission to just, okay, I'm self-employed now. I'm not going to worry anymore about future employers watching my YouTube videos and not giving me the job because they did a background check and realized that I'm a lunatic. Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So that is a big part. I would say one area I still limit myself on is on the Will Taylor channel, especially. I try and be family friendly because I want my future kids to be able to watch it. And that in the short term is limiting because obviously you go through all the phases of life of like, oh, I want to try this type of music. I want to do this or this song. If I do a cover of that, do I take the swear word out? Well, that will lose retention because people are expecting the swear word to be in there. Do I include it? Swearing on live streams, just naturally living my life. Is it truly an authentic version of me if I deliberately censor myself while on the live stream? No, but am I putting out into the world what I wish I was?
Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that is growing in that direction.
Yep.
But it doesn't feel authentic, but it's what I want authentic me to be. YouTube, I like to think I put out the very best of me being how I want to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You're striving for the best authentic version of yourself.
Also, on this point, I realized something. Will, I think during my last breakup, became a very negative person. So I created Will Taylor to be everything I want to be. So whenever I'm Will, I find myself processing a lot more. Whereas it's so much easier for me to be Will Taylor because people love Will Taylor. It's not in an arrogant way. Like, Will Taylor's the entertainer. He's the YouTuber. He knows what's up. Like, different people come to him. Will Taylor gets collaborations. Will Taylor gets brand deals. Will Taylor, has all these followers. Will Taylor can actually make merch sales. Will is the failed accountant, failed estate agent, had loads of big dreams that never amounted to anything. And I only really came to that acknowledgement maybe 4 months ago. But I was like, I'm actually living, I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in my own way of, I went through some stuff that was really difficult for me to process. And it's snuck up on me because so many musicians have stage names. It's like, oh no, it's just going to be my stage name. I didn't really think much of it. But the more, maybe that's why I love work so much.
I'm a coping mechanism.
Whenever I'm working, I'm Will Taylor. And people like Will Taylor. No, he struggled.
It's hard, man.
It sort of hit me quite hard. But yeah, I think that's probably why I'm so driven. Because I love being Will Taylor. So the more I can be Will Taylor, the better. If I'm Will, and then...
Could you think Will will ever catch up? Because Will is always there. Remember, wherever you go, there you are. The hardest thing. I think that we forget that no matter where we go, we are always there. Your problems follow you. Travel, your problems will follow you. Hard work, your problems will follow you. Yeah. It's scary, and we don't need to dig into it now. But something to...
I thought that was a nice little thing
nugget,
to finish off the podcast with.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a good one.
Wrap up number 2.
We have officially wrapped up our second podcast. Can you believe it? Mind's blown. Incredible.
We're amazed.
We've blown our own minds with how much we can talk. But yeah, It's been great to have you on. If you stayed this long, if you haven't, hey,
We can
no
say what we
harm
like
done.
to.
Yeah, it's all good. You've missed so many nuggets of wisdom, but we're talking about growth. Again, we invite you to think about how can you grow? How can you grow professionally, personally, and ultimately, what does growth look like to you? And are you avoiding any areas in your life that you could grow? But for now, signing off.
See you later. Cool. Well done.
Yeah,
It's so warm in here.
It is.
I was
Melted,
like
yeah.
sweating halfway through that.